this is Flub here, and today we are doing a new Flubverse Fans episode, and this one is a speedrun of every single main level. We're going to see how fast we can do it, and with me today we have Poison Arc.
What's up, everyone?
Veslipus, I think it's pronounced that way.
Hello, everyone.
And Tenant.
You only realise how polished CSGO's maps are when you play another game and immediately get stuck on a sticky out bit of scenery. Indeed, the standards in CSGO are high. No ledge is left unclipped. No prop, an obstacle. These maps are lubed to the extreme. Pick a direction and run, and you'll only get stopped once you reach a very obvious corner. Even stairs are a blissfully smooth experience, with your aim gracefully gliding up every stair as if it's a gradual slope. Everything has been smoothed out for your gaming pleasure. But Counter-Strike hasn't always been so smooth. 1.6, for example, doesn't have this. Every step will jolt your vision. It's sickening. Granted, there seems to be some sort of built-in smoothing to 1.6's movement, but go up one step at a time and the jolt is real. And if you run down them, then your person falls off, just like real life. Perhaps unsurprisingly, it's maps like Aztec that perform the best, which contain smooth slopes. Though I suspect that this design decision was originally chosen to keep your frame rate high, rather than your aim true. Counter-Strike Source's movement engine is a bit smoother. Rush up the stairs and it smooths out your movement. Support for running downstairs smoothly was added 3 months after the game's release in December of 2004, and then again a year later when they realised that they hadn't fixed it the first time. Move slowly, however, and the jolt is, yet again, real. Fortunately though, this could be fixed if the mappers could be bothered to add clips to their stairs. These are invisible, solid blocks that have loads of different uses. Here you can see that I've turned on an option that lets you view these things as solid red blocks. They can stop the bomb from getting stuck somewhere, or in the case of stairs, serve as an invisible slope to smooth out player movement. But this wasn't standard for Source. Less popular maps, like Italy and Dust 1, don't have any clipping at all, and even Dust 2 and Inferno only have it in some places, normally the most popular spots. Since the last map to be added to the game, Militia, doesn't have any, it seems like these clips were added later on, and only in places where the devs felt that it affected the gameplay. But how much later? Judging by the updates, it looks like Team Fortress 2 was the first game where Valve really cared about using clips to finally polish maps. So at first, I only expected these clips to be added to CSS in perhaps 2010, with the release of the Orange Box update for the game. But I was wrong. I'm sorry. I used a non-Steam version of Counter-Strike Source to see what it was like in 2007, and it included clipping. This pretty much confirms that clipping was never a standard feature for Valve to include in Source, and was only added to the most popular maps in the most important spots. Interestingly, the stairs leading to B on Inferno are smoothed in the 2007 release, but not in today's version. So maybe they lost the most recent version and had to use an earlier one again when remaking it for the Orange Box update. Maybe. And now on to our favourite game, CSGO. And they clearly ported Inferno across because the earliest version of this map had similar clipping to the latest CSS version, though they somehow lost the clips around B in the process. But it's a lot better than the earliest version of Dust 2, which has no clipping on stairs at all. Every trip up or down them vibrates your screen like a mother. But you know why this is, don't you? Unlike Inferno, which only had a bit of an update, Dust 2 got a far more rigorous makeover visually, and I guess they forgot or just didn't care about adding back gameplay stuff like the clipping. Not until July 2013, 3/4 of a year after the game first came out. Admittedly, these stairs are okay, but many suffer from yet another problem that still persists to this day. Valve tends to only clip them from the first step onwards, meaning that as you approach the staircase there will be a little bump before it becomes smooth. Why they do this is a mystery to me. It could be to stop you from bumping upwards if you're simply trying to run past the stairs without intending to go up them. But at the end of the day, it's just sloppy design. They could always push the stairs one back if it's a concern and it would solve the issue. Every official Valve map follows different rules. The hostage maps are, perhaps unsurprisingly, the poorest supported ones. Most stairs on Office aren't clipped at all. On Italy, they missed the first step. And in the new hostage place, they forgot about them completely. Assault is very well done, though they forgot about the stairwell around the back. It's so inconsistent. And Militia doesn't have any stair clipping at all. Moving to the Diffuse maps, Overpass, Mirage and Cache are all perfect. Very good job, Valve. Dust 2 and Train are also great, though there's this weird sticking out bit on the stairs near T-Spawn that will annoy you from now on. Inferno is a mixed bag, some okay, but many missing the first stair. Cobble's A-site is perfect, but everywhere else skips the first step. And the spiral staircase isn't done at all. But are Valve learning? If their newest map, Nuke, is anything to go by, then no. Nuke does some okay, but many others miss the first step. Who knows what they'll do for Inferno? Maybe by then they'll have stair clipping standardised, sussed and sorted. But probably not. And even if they did, spiral staircases would probably still defeat them. Indeed, even on the highly polished and over-lubed Dust 2 map, you'll find the spiral staircase in B-tunnels isn't clipped properly. It does some bits of it, but misses the bottom, top, and some of the steps in the middle as well. There's a reason that these spiral stairs might not be clipped. You see, modelling a clip brush to a spiral stair makes the surface unflat, and the technology for it just isn't there yet. The moment you reload the map, it'll change to something broken and different looking. So what's the solution? Well, don't make spiral staircases. But if you do, follow a guide like this one by X6 Herbius, who found a way of doing it using 2 separate clips per stair. It's still not perfect. If I make the clip visible, then you can see that it's still got little bumps and lumps on it. But it's still a lot better than not having any at all. Interestingly enough, some of the spiral stairs on Dust 2 are clipped in this way as well. But strangely, not all of them. Oh, Valve, you were so close to impressing me. So there's some stuff about CSGO that you probably didn't even know. Or care about. You only realise how polished CSGO's maps are when you play another game and immediately get stuck on a sticky out bit of scenery. To learn everything there is to know about bullet penetration in CSGO would be overly complicated, long-winded, and unrewarding. And it wouldn't help you at all. So in this video, I'll only share with you the stuff that I think will help. Bullets can shoot through stuff in CSGO, hitting stuff behind them, including players. The amount of damage these shots deal depends on 5 things: the weapon you're using, how far the bullet has to travel, how thick the material is, the material type, and how many surfaces the bullet is penetrating. The weapon you're using matters a lot. You can see on Sloth Squadron's handy weapon spreadsheet that they each have a penetration stat ranging from 0 to 2.5, with higher values causing bullets to lose less damage when travelling through thick or multiple walls. But it's worth understanding that the amount of damage a weapon would inflict normally also makes a big difference. An AWP is great at penetrating and delivers huge damage, so it's by far the best weapon for wallbanging. A Glock or shotgun, on the other hand, has both a low penetration value and base damage, making it useless. Both values need to be high for maximum effect. Even rifles, which have a fairly high penetration value, lack the sheer damage that snipers can deliver, so can only achieve a small fraction of the wallbang effectiveness. Auto snipers are by far your best bet for spamming through cover. But even with these formidable weapons, there are limits. Even if you're only hidden behind ultra-thin paintings or chain-link fences, as long as there are 5 of them, you'll take 0 damage, even from the almighty AWP. The only exception to this is water. Not sure where you'd find yourself shooting through 5 layers of water to hit a player, but this won't protect them at all. Seems Mythbusters was wrong about the protective properties of this stuff. All other material types stop a certain amount of damage. A stone wall will be better at stopping bullets than, say, a wooden one. I tested a lot of different surfaces and found that nearly all of them stop bullets by different amounts, even when you'd think they'd be in the same category. For example, metal pipes stop more damage than metal barrels. This table shows a list of surfaces by order of how much damage they reduced an AWP shot to. Glass and chain fences are joint worst at defending against damage, followed by wood. The best is, perhaps surprisingly, dirt, followed by metal, bricks and tiles. All of these surfaces were just 1 unit thick. You'll be unlikely to find surfaces thinner than these. Most will be thicker and thus will stop a lot more damage. I also tested how much some of these would stop the AK-47, which is your best chance of wallbanging somebody with a rifle. It can pass through over 44 units of wood, but plaster, stone, brick and metal stop it far sooner. Even just 4 units of any material stops it from being an immediate one-hit kill to the head. And for you mappers out there, props behave identically to world geometry. A wooden crate prop functions the same way as a solid block of wood. And those crates on Dust 2 also happen to be wooden, judging by the amount of damage they stop. And finally, material thickness. I tested numerous weapons through wood to see how the damage dropped off as it got thicker. The Glock and USPS fare the worst. This also represents how SMGs and shotguns will do, all of which share a penetration value of 1 and somewhere in the region of 30 base damage. What's more surprising is that, even with 2 penetration, rifles such as the AK and M4 don't do a lot better. As I said earlier, base damage also matters. There are a lot of differences between video games and reality. Sure, us gamers know this already, but occasionally the media gets a tad confused between the two. I would like to cover some of these differences. The kind of things that happen in games, but probably... There are a lot of differences between video games and reality. Sure, us gamers know this already, but occasionally the media gets a tad confused between the two. I'd like to cover some of these differences. The kind of things that happen in games, but probably not in the real world. Maybe the things I'll be covering in this video will ruin your enjoyment of these maps forever. But I don't care. First off, Peckelsteine. This is a term that's used to describe doors that overlap when closed, so that the key can go through both of them at once. It was first coined like a week ago when SBizzle15 used it over on a Reddit post to describe overlapping doors on a CSGO map. The world then imploded when Valve then mentioned Peckelsteine doors in their patch notes, when fixing the said doors. And so the word was coined and SBizzle15's path towards world domination began. For anybody who cares, the closest word to Peckelsteine is probably Pechelsteine, a kind of German stew. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, to a real person, it seems silly that Valve would make such a glaring mistake. Why bother putting doors in that don't fit properly when closed? Well, it's because it's a map. It's hopefully designed with gameplay in mind, with the graphics and theme then coming later. Valve creates a hole in a wall for players to run through, decides that it plays well, and then tries to justify its existence by decorating it with doors and so on. Their function as a door doesn't really matter since it will never be closed. It could have been that somebody did lovingly measure it all up and created doors that did fit. Then another designer decided that the hole should have been narrower for gameplay purposes, but forgot to also shorten the doors. Heck, this could have happened in real life too, so let's not be too hard on Valve. In fact, if you think about it, the idea of closed-off environments doesn't make much